Bob Hintz, and we are here at the Hampton Coliseum for the first of 9 games that the Soviet national junior team will be playing against American competition. And of course, Boo Williams' team is there first. They arrived, I understand, last night into Dulles and bust down here over the night. Have had a long stay.
Well, they was on one of those nice jets that only took them 11 hours to get here, Tim, and the report was that they hadn't slept in about 24 hours. But we came down this afternoon at 12 o'clock and they had a workout, and they looked pretty good in the workout. This is going to be quite a matchup. Boo's team is ranked number 1 in a nation of 19 years and under. So it's going to be a good contest tonight. We got a tremendous crowd. Looks like we got at least 5,000 here tonight.
Well, it is going to be a tremendous contest. Of course, this is going to be a real test for Boo Williams' all-star team. Talking about some of the players on Boo Williams' team, of course, they have 3 United Associated Press Players of the Year. Alonzo Mourning, of course, from Group AAA, Brian Stith from Group AA, and Marcus Elam from Group A. So Boo has been able to put together a formidable team as far as that goes, but you have to wonder how cohesive they would be not having played together as a unit for a great length of time.
Yeah, well, that makes a big difference that you don't get to play together. And according, if you can believe what was put in the newspaper, this Soviet team's only been together 30 days. But now Boo's team has been able to go up and play some competition. I know they went up and played the Sunny Hill team up in Pennsylvania and won up there. But the hardest thing to do when you have as great a number of athletes as you get on these teams, that the kids are usually stars in their own situation at their own school, and the offenses maybe be geared around them, and now they have to play with one ball, and you're not always the star out there. So there's a lot of adjusting to do, and the coaching staff that Boo has got him, helping him, has done a good job with these young men.
Well, speaking of the young men from the Virginia team, as we are looking across the court, let's introduce the officials while we have the opportunity.
Absolutely.
The officials' uniforms are a little different than most of us are used to seeing. We used to see the zebras.
Zebras, right. We have the referee is Tom Frame from Virginia Beach, who's been doing NCAA for 15 years and FIBA for 10 years, and that's the AAU or international rules. Referee number 1 is John Monroe from Richmond, who's been in the NCAA for 20 years and 15 years with the international rules. And the last umpire, who they call umpire number 2, Nolan Fine, also from Virginia Beach, 10 years NCAA 5 with the international rules. But what is kind of neat on this is Nolan Fine was one of the officials in the finals of the NCAA when Indiana beat Fine Syracuse team.
We're having some ceremonies here at the center of the court. Momentarily, we will have several different things going on. We're going to have, if I can find the agenda here. I had it earlier. Here it is, over here. We're going to have, first of all, we're going to have each team, Mayor James Easton of Hampton will be giving the opening remarks in just a moment. They're going to each introduce each member and coach from the team, and then we're going to have some presentation and exchange of gifts and so forth. So we're going to kind of let the Coliseum announcer do some of this for us.
Melvin Butler, right here.
Okay, but they're introducing Melvin Butler, who is one of the councilmen here.
No, let me see who's on your list.
I'd like to welcome everyone to this fine basketball game tonight. I particularly want to welcome these fine young athletes from Soviet Union.
What's the assistant coach's name for Duke?
We welcome you to Hampton, and we hope that you will remember Hampton, Virginia, as you go across our nation. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Let's have a nice hand for Team Melvin Butler, Vice Mayor of the city. You ready?
Hold it up, maybe. Now what we're going to do, we're going to introduce these teams.
Good evening, basketball fans. Welcome to the first game of the AAU USA Soviet Tour 1987. This is the first of an 8-city tour for the Russian men. Please meet our guest, the Soviet Union Junior Men's National Team. First, from Alma-Ata, a 6'3" guard wearing number 8, welcome Oleg Melenchenko. From the city of Riga, a 6'4" guard, number 14, Gundars Vetra. Out of Kiev, another 6'4" backcourt player, number 10, Sergei Orakov. From the city of Sverdlovsk, a 6'4" backcourt man, number 17, say hello to Sergei Babkov. From Moscow, the capital, a 6'6" forward, number 11, Dmitry Shakolin. Out of Kiev, a 6'10" pivot man, number 5, Jorge Restov. Also from Moscow, at 6'8" and wearing number 6, welcome Elshar Gadashev. And once again from Moscow, a 6'10" high post, number 13, say hello to Dmitry Minayev. From Kiev, another 6'10" big guy, number 15, Igor Penshuk. From Alma-Ata, 6'6" forward, wearing number 9, welcome Andrei Voilinenko. From Lvov, 6'6" forward, number 4, would you greet Igor Vatazhak. And out of Riga, another 6'9" big guy, number 12, say hello to Yanis Laksa. And finally, from Lvov, at 6'7" and wearing number 7, here's Vladimir Polyak. Now we have five very important VIPs from the Russian delegation. First, the interpreter. A nice hand, please, for Andrei Romanin. The team doctor, Tembulat Polak. A big hand, please, for the assistant coach, Victor Bozinar. A nice warm American welcome, please, for the head coach of the Soviet team. He coached the Soviet World Games team in Spain in 1986. He's Vladimir Obukov. And finally, the team leader, chief of the basketball department, Soviet Sports Committee. A great American hand, please, for Valery Platonov. Let's have a super hand for the Russian team and delegation. Let's really hear it for the Soviets. And now introducing the Boo Williams Summer League All-Stars, representing the AAU. Here's one of the top 30 juniors in the United States. 6'7" out of John Marshall High School, wearing number 44. He's Milton Bell.
Coach Bryant. Coach Bryant. I'm mad at you. I was mad.
From Lafayette High School, a 6'3" senior headed for Tyler Community College, number 22, Rico Taylor. One of the top softs in America, from Deep Creek at 6'3", wearing number 12, welcome Curly Young. From Denbigh High School, a 6'3" senior, number 54, Joel Bolden. This next young man is headed for St. Joseph's of Philadelphia. He wears number 24, a 6'2" guard from Kecoughtan High School. Would you say hello to Ray Washington? From York High School, a 6'3" junior, wearing number 20, greet J. Burton. Another one of America's top softs from Tabb High School at 6'3", wearing number 30, Terry Kirby. Out of Indian River High School, a 6'5" senior headed for Hampton University, wearing number 23, welcome Greg Ford. From B.T. Washington High School, would you welcome a 6'5" junior, number 34, Greg Small. Also from B.T. Washington, a 5'9" junior, number 11, Rico Campbell. From Morey High School in Norfolk, a 5'11" guard headed for Western Carolina, number 10, Kenny Brown. Also from Morey High School, another one of the nation's top sophomores, a 6'6" forward. Would you say hello to number 32, Cornell Parker? Here's the young man who led his team to the Class A state title in Virginia this year, headed for Loyola of Baltimore from Suffolk High School at 6'4" and wearing number 40. Here's Marcus Elam. This next young man comes from Franklin High School and will attend the University of Tennessee in the tough SEC next year. Standing 6'8", wearing number 42, welcome Ronnie Reese. This next young man led his team to Virginia's AA state tournament this year, with averages in the state tournament of 27 a game and 17 boards. From Brunswick High School, 6'5", number 21, Bryant Stiff. And last but not least, he led his team to the state AAA title this year. He's from Indian River High School in Chesapeake, Virginia. Would you meet the one who's been responsible for more rejects than the Harvard Law School, number 33, 6'10", rated number 1 in the nation, Alonzo Mourning. And now for the head coach of the Boo Williams Summer League All-Stars from St. Joseph's College and the Italian Pro League, one of the great men in this area and a great former player in his own right. A big hand for Marcellus better known as Boo Williams.
His assistant coaches, trainer, and 2 managers. Bill Jose.
Assistant. Here are Boo's assistants for this team.
Bill Jose.
Big hand for Bill Toze, please. Bill Toze,
Butch Lambiot.
father of one of the great players in the ACC, Walker Lambiot, Mr. Butch Lambiot.
Mike Talon.
And also a nice hand from Mike Talon, please. Mike Talon. And finally,
Boy Jones.
from Maury High School, Gene Jones. Gene Jones.
Jimmy. Oh,
Trainer.
no, he's the manager. What's his last name?
And a nice hand for our trainer, please. The trainer, Diane Limerick. Diane, step forward. Let's hear it for Diane.
Assistant coach Jimmy Van Ice.
And assistant coach again, Jimmy Van Ice. Jimmy Van Ice. Let's really hear it now. And finally, the manager, Ike Pritchard.
John Brown.
And John Brown. Ike Pritchard, John Brown. All these fellas did a big job. And now a super hand, of course, for the U.S. contingent, the Boo Williams Summer League. Let's hear it for them, for the whole team and their staff. Thank you.
Russian national anthem.
Huh?
The Russian national anthem.
First?
Yes.
And now we'd all like you to rise, please. First for the playing of the Russian national anthem. Thank you. Star-Spangled Banner.
Phoebus High School Color Guard will represent our colors.
The Phoebus High School Color Guard will present the colors. Phoebus High School Color Guard. Here they come.
Anyone here that was interested?
Oh yeah, yeah, we're nice.
Any good?
Very nice.
Show up to the point.
Sweet.
When? You hear me?
They're gonna get set in our table.
You do the referees, the rules, and that's it. You play.
Got a few more things to do. National anthem by the Bethel High School. You want to do that? Go ahead.
was the Bethel High School Band. A big hand for the Bethel High School Band.
As soon as the color guard leaves the floor, we're gonna get teams, and now the teams will exchange gifts and walk toward each other. Okay, and then when we let them warm up for about 3 more minutes, you go through your rules.
All right. Right here, they exchange. Not bad. No 3 points.
Quite an elaborate ceremony at halftime. We went through both national anthem introduction of the players and the coaches and everything. As you was telling me earlier, we have some rule changes. The the 3-point line, there is going to be a 3-point shot in there. They got a 30-second clock. They cannot do the alley-oop where they lob the ball in, a guy catches it, turns around and stuffs it in the basket. But in international rules, once the ball hits the rim, then you can knock it out or knock it in. There's no such thing as goaltending there. I think that's kind of important. There are five fouls, which is a normal, and the teams are going out right now, and they're shaking hands and exchanging gifts, Tim.
One of the rules, Bob, that I found to be interesting was the fact that you have a situation where a team has the choice of either shooting a free throw or taking the ball at middle of the court. They have the option. The captain will be asked whenever it becomes a foul situation. During the latter part of the game, when you're trying to run time off the clock, it'd be kind of interesting. If you're fouled, you don't have to shoot the free throws.
Yeah, and see, and that was one of the things that they're trying to get in the NCAA, Tim, is that particular rule, because when a team is behind, they're going to foul, try to stop the clock, and get the player on the foul line, hope he misses it and gets a chance. With the ball being taken out of bounds, then the pressure then becomes on them playing good defense out of bounds to try to steal the ball. And of course, I like that rule. I think it would speed the game up a little bit and make them play more honest. But that is an interesting rule change. The fouls will be basically the same. There's 5 fouls, and you foul out of the game, you're disqualified. Except here, a technical foul is counted as a personal foul, where in AAU and NCAA it is not. The official does not have to handle the ball after a turnover, which is kind of neat. You grab the ball and flip it down the court. We're always used to handing the ball to the officials, so this is something that the Americans will probably have more problem with than anything else.
I think if you'll remember in previous international competition, whenever the American team has been involved in the Olympics or the Pan American Games or such, that this is one of the things the American team had some difficulty with, was realizing that they didn't have to do so. At the start of a lot of games, you would see a situation where the Americans would be kind of standing around waiting for the official to handle the ball.
Yeah.
And before you know it, the other team is down the court and scoring an easy basket.
Well, it's an easy rule to forget, because you're conditioned from when you start playing basketball is the official's in charge, and he touches the ball and then hands it to you before you play, and then all of a sudden you don't play with that. It's hard to change. I think one of the other important rules is the width of the lane. As you get closer to the baseline, the 3-second lane becomes wider. And
I think you can see on your screen right there, about a third of the way down, up from the bottom of your screen, you'll see the foul lane is actually at an angle rather than parallel to each other. They angle out as you get closer to the basket. They are further from the basket. So that will be one of the things also that I was reading in the rules that seem interesting to me, Bob, is that if a player is fouled in the act of shooting a 3-point attempt, that player gets 3 free throws.
He gets 3 of them.
That's correct.
That sounds like the old NBA, you got 3 chances to make 2 type
Well, that
of
was
thing.
the, those of us that are old enough to remember, my dad told me about that.
Your dad told you.
I was not around. I was not old enough, but they used to have in the penalty
Can we
situation.
get this camera back on Tim here? I think this is going to be a real interesting, but you know, this is really a shot in the arm for the Boo Williams AAU program. He's got the 19 and under and the 16 and under, both boys and girls, that are playing right well and are as good a competition in this area as you're going to find anywhere. And I think Boo's doing a lot of work and not getting a whole lot of credit for it. And I think this is a real shot in the arm that we can host here in Hampton, Virginia, host the first time that the Soviets been here since 1983 when they were here before, and they had a record of 8-3. In fact, I believe you have something on that if you want to run over that.
Yeah, I sure do. In 1983, the team visited an 11-city tour, and the Soviets were victorious over West Virginia, Memphis, Indianapolis, Baton Rouge, Las Vegas, Kansas City, Detroit, and Boston. The only losses were at Arkansas, New York City, who treated them extremely roughly, 114-97, and Team Florida. There were some outstanding names that were involved in these AAU teams. As you see, the teams have returned to their respective benches for a final message to be administered by the coaches. But players that you may be familiar with, Steve Alford played for Indianapolis. Frank Ford from Auburn scored 31 points against that 1983 touring team. There were several other names, Bruce Dalrymple, Ken Hutchinson. A lot of big name players have played against the Soviets in the past, and a lot of big name players have gone on. Ron Crawford, the National Secretary for the National AAU USA Junior Olympic Boys Basketball Program, if that isn't a mouthful.
I'm glad you had to say that.
Was talking about the fact that 1985 and 1986, 40 NBA draft choices were included, with over the 40 former junior Olympians included 11 first-round picks. So these players that we're watching here tonight are formidable in their experience. We're just about set to go. We were not able to get the starting lineup, unfortunately, for the Soviet team. We do have the starting lineup for the Boo Williams All-Stars, which from this point on I'm going to refer to as the All-Stars rather than try and
make it a little easier for us. That's
okay,
good
Kenny
deal.
Brown, number 10, will be starting for the All-Stars, along with Brian Stith, Cornell Parker, number 32, Alonzo Mourning, number 33, and Ron Reese, number 42. Those will be the starters for the All-Stars.
I tell you, when the Soviets come out here, you're going to see a tremendous difference in the height advantage that the Soviets have as opposed to the All-Star team. But you know and I know, Tim, size doesn't have a whole lot to do when you got a three-point and you got quickness. And Boo's team's going to have to show some quickness out here today. And I watched the Soviet team practice today. They on a man-to-man, they run a 1-3-1 offense with like a high-low post. They put number 5 and at the top of the key and number 13 at the bottom, and they'll run picks, and it's going to be a lot of physical activity. You look at these young men for the Soviet team, they are really built solidly. Getting ready for the tip-off, Tim.
We're just about set to go. 2 20-minute halves, 2 timeouts per team per half. That's a little different now. And the ball controlled by the All-Stars, knocked away, and last touch by the Soviets, so the All-Stars will inbounds.
Well, that was a tremendous play by number 8 because that was a breakaway basket, and he reached and knocked that ball out of bounds.
Inbounding will be Brian Stith. Handling the ball is Kenny Brown, number 10. Over for Cornell Parker. Parker drives the lane, puts it up. It's knocked away and controlled by the Soviets.
And they're quick. Look how fast they're coming down the court, Tim.
And scoring very quickly is Gundars Vetra. So Vetra puts the Soviet national team on the board. Ball is kicked out to Kenny Brown. 30-second clock is in effect, so these All-Stars have got to get the shot away. We've got a foul, and this will be charged to Vetra. That's his first, the team's first. And this will be a 2-shot foul.
It looks like the All-Star team is just a little hesitant out there on what they want to run offensively. But again, they don't need to panic. With 30 seconds is really quite a bit of time to get a shot off.
First of 2 is no good by Brian Stiff, will get a second. And he converts on the second. So the national team from the Soviet Union leads 2-1. Milichenko brings the ball up.
And here they're running some mean picks out there, Tim. They do a lot of screening and away from the ball.
Left-hander up, no good. The follow is good. As the big man, Restov, scores 2 for the Soviets. 4-1, the Soviet team. This is the first time that Mourning touches the ball from 15 feet. He kicks it back out for Kenny Brown. Now Parker, back to Brown.
They need to get the ball to Mourning down under the basket. That's too far out for him. That's not his shot. And you look at it as a 3-on-2. The All-Stars did a good job of getting back.
From 12, a little short, the ball comes down, and Stiff rebounds for the All-Stars. 2-on-2, Stiff will hold it up and wait for the rest of his team. Inside move, off the glass, no good. And knocked out of bounds, last touched by the Soviets.
This is going to be a fast-paced game. Both teams are going to run, and we watched the Soviets practice this afternoon, and they do run.
Kenny Brown looks inside. The ball is knocked away from Mourning. This is Milichenko handing off. No good. The shot rebounded by the Soviets. Block shot, jump ball coming up.
Good jump. That was a good block.
Vadashok, number 4, was blocked inside. I was looking at the statistics from this Sunny Hill game that the All-Stars played against in Philadelphia. Mourning had 19 blocked shots, if I'm reading this correctly.
19 is tremendous. It's a lot of block shots.
Terry Kirby checks in the ball game for the All-Stars, replacing Cornell Carper. Mourning will jump for the All-Stars. He'll jump against Vadashok. Igor Vadashok.
Cancel that substitution. Number 32 is involved in the jump ball.
Substitutions, there's some rules about that too. I'm going to have to check my rules, but you can't make a substitution just any time, as you might imagine.
There's certain times you can substitute, certain times you can't.
Shot's a little long, tip up and good. And
there's a little push underneath the basket. You can see that the young man that got the foul, rebound.
Milichenko misses the jam. Inside, picked off. Good defense by the Soviets. Here they come again. It's a 2-on-2. They'll hold up this time. Feed it to the big man. Blocked inside by Mourning. And another block. This one.
Well, I tell you, they have got quick hands, Tim. They are reaching and slapping at that ball all the time. There's a timeout called, Tim, while we got a second.
While we have a second, I want to mention the fact that the Hampton schools are offering gifted summer enrichment program for grades kindergarten through 9. Students should have participated in LEAP, GAIN, GRASP, the in-school enrichment program, or be recommended by the principal or teacher. Consult your school office or the gifted office of Hampton Schools at 851-8411. That's 851-8411, extension 216 for a list of these fine course offerings.
I think Boo Williams feels a little out of sorts with his team. They're only trailing by 5 points, but they have not got a real good shot at the basket yet, Tim. In fact, the shots they've been taking have been outside shots and not getting the ball inside. The Soviets have come down and they have missed a couple, but they've been inside or close shots. I know that's why they called a timeout, so that they can get the guys settled down and say, hey, let's get that ball inside and try to get some easy shots rather than taking those 30-footers.
We've got a couple of changes now for the All-Stars. In the ball game is Rico Campbell, number 11. This one goes inside for Mourning. Mourning's move off the glass, no good. Batted around and finally controlled by the Soviets. 1-on-1, and it's knocked away, and it'll belong to the Soviets, they say.
That was a good defensive play, because had he not knocked that ball out of bounds, it would have been a sure 2 points.
Inside for the big man. Another big man outside, and fouling on the play. Ron Reese bumped into Miniev. Dmitry Miniev, number 13. He's 6'10".
And it's not going to be a shooting foul, Tim. He hit him before the shot was taken.
If things aren't bad enough for the shorter AAU team, both of the 6'10" players for the Soviets are in the lineup. 3-point shot, no good, and a whistle inside. We've got a pushing foul charged to Brian Stith.
One thing that the AAU team, All-Star team's got to watch out is not to become intimidated, because these are big ball players and are a little more physical than what they may be used to. A lot more physical activities taking place than what would normally happen. So they got to play their basketball and don't worry about the intimidation factor.
Restov's shot was partially blocked by Mourning. Goes inside for Mourning. He's being harassed. He'll put it up off the glass, no good. So Mourning is ice cold right now. He can't find the range. Baseline move, heavy contact,
Yeah,
but a traveling violation charged to
He
Miniev.
took a step.
Now very quickly, the official did not in fact have to handle the ball, and we've got a pushing foul inside. This one the first on Vetra. Check that, his second
Should be
personal
number 2
foul.
on him. Yeah, I thought he had one earlier. But they do a lot of reaching and hitting at the ball, so if you're close, somebody's going to reach for it.
Substitution for the All-Stars coming in is 44, Milton Bell, and he'll replace Ron Reese, number 42. So Bull Williams, the coach, making substitutions here. This is Rico Campbell. He's guarded by number 8, Melichenko. Baseline drive, no good. Tipped out, up and off the glass. Batted around, still no good. In and finally.
3 rebounds on that series, and that shows some hustle on the AAU team. That was a great offensive rebounding.
Brian Stith makes it a 6-5 ball game. So the All-Stars now starting to get loosened up a little bit. They've got to be a little uptight coming in here for a big crowd at the Coliseum.
Well, after the timeout, they have scored, outscored them 4-0.
This is Campbell. Nice move off the glass. No good. Oh, the rebound. They tried to jam it home, but it came off the back of the rim. Soviets down on a 3-on-2. Over to the big man, and he rolls it in. Miniev with 4 points.
This is exciting. I tell you, you're going to see some good basketball here tonight.
This is not Sandlot basketball, folks. This is real good basketball.
They do a lot of double teaming when the ball comes close to them.
Mourning spins, moves, puts it up. No good. Follow shot, no good. Tipped around and finally controlled by the Soviets. Melichenko playing pass down the court. Blocked out of bounds. Fine move by Brian Stith. The All-Star team is not intimidated by the Soviets. At least they don't appear to be.
I tell you, they looked like they were a little tentative when they first came out, but boy, they aren't now. They're doing a good job of hustling and going for the block, and they're doing a good job staying on their feet, not catching a foul. They're waiting for the guy to let go of the ball before they go up and block it, and that takes a lot of willpower, because you want to block the shot with this kind of crowd we got here tonight. You want to hear those oohs and ahs.
This time the Soviet team calls timeout. There you see the score on your screen. So far, Miniev for the Soviet Union is 2 for 4. And right now, Alonzo Mourning is ice cold. He is 0 for 4 from the field. He can't seem to find that range. I think he's kind of forcing it. And he's got to be intimidated, because someone today mentioned to me they had to question how well he'll play against a player equal in his size. He doesn't run across a lot of 6'10" players
he sure doesn't.
in high school.
Well, he's taken 2 or 3 outside shots, but his inside shot, every time he's gone up, there's been 2 or 3 people around him. So he has not got a shot that he hasn't had a lot of probably contact, which is called incidental contact when there's no foul. So he'll get on track. He's a good ball player.
Of course, we all know that the rules for international play allow a little more contact than you normally see. Soviets inbounds the ball. This is Melichenko, guarded closely by Rico Campbell. Give it back to Restov. His shot up short, and it's rebounded by the shortest man on the court, Rico Campbell. Down quickly. looking for a man to pass to, does so. Spinning move inside, and we've got a baseline violation. Stepping on the end line was number 23, Greg Ford, in an effort to put just that little extra move on the Soviet Union team. Igor Pinchuk in the ball game now for the Soviets. They don't lose any height with him either. He's 6'10". Shot is short. It's rebounded by Vadashok inside and jammed inside by Pinchuk.
Well, nobody's getting an incontested shot. They all being, they got a hand in their face every time they shoot.
Mourning inside, has arms all around. He is having a tough time working that ball in.
And if you saw on the screen that time, he was triple teamed. There's not much he can do. What he's got to learn to do is pop that ball to somebody open, get a good shot, 15-footer or closer. When you got 3 people around you, you're not going to get a very good shot off. So he's lucky he got a foul and he'll get 2 shots.
Mourning at this point is scoreless. It's 10-5 in favor of the Soviet national team.
We're very fortunate to have some unofficial statistics here to keep us abreast of what's going on tonight, Tim.
You know who that fellow, young man, is?
He looks good-looking, young man.
Randy Hintz.
I thought I might know him.
Gadashev, number 6, checks in for the Soviets. Mourning finally cracks the score column.
That'll loosen you up. When you get that first basket or a free throw or something like that, you get a score. It really makes you feel a little bit better. Well, I think the substitute coming in from 21 is coming in for Alonzo.
And the second is no good. This is Vetra. Back out for Milashenko. Off the glass and good by Milashenko.
Well, they have people that hits the offensive board. Every time a shot goes up, there's at least 2 Soviets that are going for the ball because you can't hit it once it touches the rim.
Shot is short. Back come the Soviets. 2-on-1. Nice move.
See now, and Americans could have knocked the ball out of there, and they didn't think. They're thinking goaltending. But once it touched the rim, they could knock it off.
Vetra scores the bucket. He's got 4 points. We've got a whistle inside, a foul. And this one will be charged to Gadashev.
Foul charge to Elshar Gadashev. His first.
And Boo Williams now will bring in yet more players. Coming back in the ball game is Kenny Brown, number 10, along with Marcus Elam. First time we've seen Elam in the ball game tonight. That's him receiving the inbounds pass. Kenny Brown sets it up. Soviets man-to-man. Elam drives the baseline, puts the left-hander up. No good. It's tipped around and finally controlled by Violenko, number 9 of the Soviet Union. 12:30 to go in the first half. 14-6, the Soviets. Ball knocked away inside. Brown has a 3-on-3. Brown moves, puts it up from 14.
That was a real nice move. Very nice. We need somebody like that to do a spark.
And a blocking foul will be charged to Marcus Elam.
Foul charge to number 40, Marcus Elam.
This will be a non-shooting foul, the 3rd team foul. The Soviet team has 4 team fouls at this point. And a traveling call as Sergei Orakov dragged his foot. Now we've got an official's timeout for a substitution, as coming in the ball game is Ron Reese, and he'll replace Alonzo Mourning. And Mourning's had a tough first 8 minutes of the ball game.
He sure has, Tim. He
As
may
you
be
said,
trying to pressure it a little bit.
Driving the baseline, shot no good. Rebound strong inside by Brian Stith, put up and in.
Nice shot. He had 2 or 3 hands in his face when he put that shot in, but they're going to have to really bang the boards.
Ron Reese makes it 14-10. Ball knocked away. The Soviets die for it, and an easy layup, but it was blown. I started to call that one in. I thought he'd get it for sure.
Did too.
Baseline drive comes up a little short, and a foul. Little rough inside. gesture of good sportsmanship.
He was going for the ball. There was nothing flagrant about that. He was going for the ball and come down and just knocked the young man down, but that was good sportsmanship.
Kenny Brown will bring it up for the All-Stars. 14-10, 11:25 to go in the first half. This is Kenny Brown. Bounce pass inside, fadeaway jumper, good!
Nice shot. Well, we're within 2 points now, but look at them coming down. They don't waste any time getting down the floor.
Ron Reese with 4 points tonight.
Now they're walking again. They have a tendency to take a little.
Three-point attempt, last touch by the All-Stars as the ball was tipped last by Ron Reese, number 42.
Soviet substitution, number 14, Gundars Vetra.
Vetra comes back in the ball game, and he'll replace Melchenko.
And Kirby come back into the play too, but they set some mean screens out there.
Shot is up and good. Gadashev puts it in, and he's fouled on the play. Brian Stiff picks up his second. So a chance for a three-point play here, 16-12, as the All-Stars had cut it to 2 with a little more than 10.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Tim Cole with Bob Hintz from the Hampton Coliseum, and a three-point play is completed by Gadashev. You want to comment on how quickly that man was in the lane?
Well, they can do that. As soon as the ball leaves their hand, they can go.
Again, that's something that the All-Star team needs to be aware of. Off the glass, no good. Battled for, controlled by the All-Stars. Inside, got a man open. No good. Rebound, yes.
Okay, way to hit the board. Good job.
Brian Stiff has 5 points, and it's a 3-point Soviet lead. Vetra, inside, Violenko.
You can't let him have that baseline like there's no help, and he just was able to turn and go out to the basket and lay it in.
19-14, halfway through the first half. From way outside, off the glass, no good. Quickly down the court. Line pass, right side. Oh, he missed it though. That was a super looking play. Pinchuk.
The official missed that one. It was knocked out of bounds by the Soviet.
Pinchuk got a super pass from Vetra, but wasn't able to convert. But the ball was last touched by the All-Stars. Alonzo Mourning checks back in the ball game. Inside it comes, up and no good, but a foul inside. And if this is Stiff, that'll be his third. No, it's not. It's on Ron Reese.
Ron Reese, number 42, yeah. Well, we're halfway through the first half. We only played 20-minute halves here rather than a quarter system.
First of 2 is no good.
We'll see how fast they get in the lane this time, Tim.
(2014) three-pointer is good by Kenny Brown.
They'll get you back in the ball game in a rush.
Mourning on the rebound.
Good job, and not only blocking it, but getting the ball back.
Kenny Brown guarded closely. Wants to set up a play. He's got a man on the baseline. Turnaround jumper, no good. Controlled by the Soviets. Off with the rebound is Orlikov. And an easy layup by Violenko. That's 6 points. 22-17, 8:55 to go in the first half. Big crowd at the Hampton Coliseum. Kirby handles the ball. Right side feed for Ron Reese. Reese will put it up, yes.
They're getting much better, higher percentage shots now than they were at first, Tim. They're getting the ball in the lane and getting better shots.
This is Orikoff being guarded closely by Kirby. And the ball thrown out of bounds belongs to the All-Stars. Ball does not have to be touched by the official, and the All-Stars, again, forgetting that. We're walking down the court waiting for the official to hand the ball to the player.
You got to be alert. You're right. He was looking to get the ball in, and he couldn't do it.
And you've got a 3-second throw-in time.
That's
So-
different than what we're used to in AAU, and I'm sorry, not AAU, but NCAA. You got 5 seconds.
Reese saves the ball for the All-Stars. Now Kenny Brown wants to set a play up. Baseline jumper, good.
Oh, within 1 point, 21-22 now, Tim.
Ron Reese has brought the All-Stars back. He's got 8 points here in the first half. Inside of 8 minutes, 22-21. Fake, double fake, put it up, no good. And still no good, and finally, Mourning grabs the rebound, so he hung tough that time.
Well, he did that.
Brown quickly, yes!
And he got a foul also. That'll bring this crowd around because they've got the first lead that they've had. They got the basket, give them the lead, and a foul, and it looks like the Soviet team is taking a timeout, Tim. You need a spark plug. You need somebody to get everybody else excited. I thought that was a tremendous play. With 7:39 ago, the All-Star took the first lead. Well, you can see the crowd.
Kenny Brown is 3 for 3, including a three-pointer. And Ron Reese is 4 out of 8. So the two of them have really come on strong. For the Soviet team, Andrei Velienko, I can't pronounce it. I knew it. Velienko. He
You
is
do it
3
better
for
than
3.
I am.
Well, I was doing all right until I knew his name was going to trip me. Violenko. Thank you. I got to say it slowly. There you see a good shot of the big crowd here. And the cheerleaders, of course. No game would be complete without the cheerleaders.
But I know the Boos got to be real happy with the turnout because this got to be at least 5,000 here. I don't know what the official count is, but that's what we want to see. We want to see a good count.
The scoring for the Soviet team, Restov has 2, Gadashev 4, Violenko 6, Miniev 4, Vetra 4, and Pinchuk 2. For the All-Stars, Ron Reese unofficially with 8 points, Milton Bell with 2, Alonzo Mourning but 1, and that coming, of course, on a free throw. Brian Stith with 5 points and 2 fouls, as Ron Reese also has 2. And Kenny Brown, who has been the big gun here, with 7 points and a chance to make it 8 as he'll be on the free throw line.
This will be a second chance for a three-pointer, but the first one was from the three-point range on the floor. Now we need to make sure that the fans understand that is closer than what is normally played in the AAU. It's usually 21 foot. Now this is only about 19.9.
That's the regular NCAA three-point line.
Right, that's correct.
The second circle that you see on your screen is the professional three-point line. Kenny Brown's shot no good. It's tipped up though. Mourning gets the rebound. Off the glass and good.
Good job of fighting for that ball. But they're coming down the court quick.
Mourning is back, leaves his feet off the glass, no good. The Soviet team has really been snake-bitten by bad rolls. They've had some close shots. They just can't get them to go. Mourning with the rebound. Kenny Brown. Inside. Oh my goodness, what a nice move, but it won't go.
He lost me on that pass. I thought he lost the ball. That was a tremendous amount of hands.
The All-Stars with a three-point lead, 25-22. Exactly 7 minutes remain in the first half. Off the glass, no good. Mourning with a strong rebound. So Mourning starting to assert himself on the glass. And the All-Stars are coming back. This one, however, goes off the hands, out of bounds. And the All-Stars need to remember they got to get back quickly. Inadvertent horn from the scorer's table. Good block.
You can see why he had 19 blocks up there at the Sunny Hill League.
And we've got a foul before the shot. This will be charged to Melachenko. That's his first. The 6th team foul. So on the next team foul, we will see a bonus situation for the All-Stars.
It's got to be 7 team fouls before it's on a bonus situation. That's correct.
So Ray Washington comes in the ball game for the All-Stars, number 24. And Marcus Elam checks in for the All-Stars as well. So Bull Williams not afraid to go to his bench here in the first half. This is inside. Morning's hook shot, a little strong. Rebound comes out to the All-Stars, and this last touch by the Soviets. Ron Reese in there along with Morning.
I tell you, you can tell both these teams are well coached. There's a lot of passes that are bounce passes, which is the hardest pass to intercept, especially when you're inside.
Good move to the bucket by Brian Stiff, and we've got another foul call.
Soviet foul charge.
This is Violenko, number 9.
Andrei Violenko, his second team.
That's 2 on Violenko, and it's the 8th team foul.
So they will be in a bonus from here on out.
And the bonus, of course, is the same as it is in the NC2A. It's 1 and 1. And Stiff has 7 points now, and it's a 5-point lead for the All-Stars, 27-22. A little more than 6 minutes to go in the first half.
They have a set play coming off the inbounds. And he's your shooter.
Little attempt by the Soviet team to prevent the quick pass.
We're going to slow him down some way.
This is Ray Washington from Kecoughtan High School. Off the glass, no good. Strong rebound inside. Put it up, and it's good.
All right, that was unbelievable. I don't know how he got that ball off. That was a tremendous shot. Marcus Elam, and you can see why he was the player of the year, and that was in single A. That was great.
Soviet foul charge to Jorge.
They got a chance to take an 8-point lead here, Tim, with 5:33 to go in the first half.
And Elam makes the 3-point play.
Marcus Elam.
So it's an 8-point lead, as you said. 30-22. The All-Stars started slowly, but have come on strong here in the second part of the first half. From 14, off the glass, no good. And a strong rebound by Marcus Elam. This is Ray Washington. From 3, no good. Rebound on the baseline by the All-Stars. So Ray Washington will set him up again. Inside pass, fadeaway jumper, no good. Rebound, tip, no good. And the ball comes out. Super move. The All-Stars getting all kinds of rebounds. And finally, a foul inside.
I wouldn't want to call that, but they were fighting for the ball. There's a lot of contact going on underneath that ball. Now, if that's a foul, that's a shooting situation for the All-Star team. But I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with the way that the All-Stars are hitting the offensive board and the defensive board. I don't know what kind of rebounds they've got, but we'll get those from Randy at the end of the half to give you an idea. But they're really hitting the boards real good, Tim.
The Soviet team, something that Randy pointed out to me, and it's very accurate, the Soviet team is not having any success hitting their outside shot. They haven't hit anything that wasn't from 8 feet or closer. Speaking of trouble, Morning misses the front end of the 1-and-1. Soviets with a chance to cut the lead to 6. Man-to-man defense by the All-Stars.
They're playing a good aggressive man-to-man too. Now there's another outside shot.
Rebound comes off to Ron Reese, and he is fouled.
Got another chance for the 1-and-1, Tim.
That's his first team over the limit.
So now the Soviets again over the limit.
It's 1-1 on the line.
5 team fouls against the All-Stars, which is a big bonus for them. Of course, they, on a bonus situation, they won't be giving up the shot. Right now, the All-Stars desperately need to start hitting some of those free throws.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially you got to get that first one. You never get a chance for the second one if you don't get the first one. And there's another miss.
So Ron Reese with 8 points comes up dry from the free throw line. The 30-second clock is in effect, but it hasn't been necessary all night. They've been shooting well within the time. A strong rebound by Brian Stiff. Long pass down the court.
But still has not put the AAU team in a bonus situation yet. Nice defensive play.
Ball knocked away by Kirby. The All-Stars come down quickly, and losing the handle on the ball was Ray Washington. They'll call him for a double dribble. 30-22, a little more than 3.5 minutes to go in the first half. The All-Stars on top. Boo Williams, Tidewater All-Stars. Ball knocked away, controlled by the Soviets. This is Restov.
Nice hook shot. That's the first time they've hit a field goal in quite a while, Tim. I don't know what the time span has been, but that was an inside shot.
Gorgei Restov gets the scoring column for the Soviets. Morning has it knocked away, and they'll say he last touched it.
Substitutions for Soviet, number 11, Dmitry Shakulin.
Kenny Brown comes back in for the All-Stars, and Dmitry Shakulin, number 11, checks in for the Soviet national team. Another block shot. Kenny Brown feeds it off. He's fouled. That's Brian Stiff will be going to the free throw line.
I think the key here again, Tim, is going to hit the foul shots. They have been missing the foul shots. Got another timeout by the Soviet team.
So the Soviets take a timeout, and while we have a timeout, we're going to go to an interview that we had the opportunity to have before the start of the ball game, and this one will be with A.G. Womble, and he'll be discussing things with John Thompson, the head coach of Georgetown University.
Okay, we have with us now the 1988 Olympic coach for the United States, Mr. John Thompson of Georgetown University. And tell us your thoughts about the game here. And this is your rival coach, I believe, also that you'll be facing pretty soon.
Well, I don't know whether he's the rival coach. He coached the national team in Spain for the Russians. My primary purpose is to come here and to just try to observe some of the players that they have and get a feel, really, for international basketball.
Mr. Thompson, what are any individuals on the United States, on the Virginia team that you'll be looking at closely?
Well, you're trying to ask me, am I down here to watch Alonzo Mourning? Certainly we're interested in Alonzo. I've seen him play several times, so there's no need to come to see whether he can play or not. I think my primary concern at this point, as I indicated to you, was to get a feel for the Russian team.
Well, Mr. Thompson, we're glad to have you here in the city of Hampton. Welcome. We hope you come back soon, and we wish you good luck in 1988 Olympics, and do a good job up there. I'm sure you will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thompson, who is also the coach of the American Olympic team for the next Olympics. He's going to be coaching the team. We made a free throw that time. That's great.
We made 2 free throws. So Brian Stiff now with 9 points. And it's a 8-point lead for the All-Stars, 32-24.
Foul charge to number 30.
Terry Kirby will be charged with the foul against the All-Stars. That's the 7th team foul. They don't shoot until the 8th. They get 7. So the next foul against the All-Stars will create a bonus situation for the Soviets. From 14, it's a little short. Mourning had the rebound and was fouled from behind, but no call.
They allow a lot of contact under the board, especially when you rebound it. You got to grab the ball and come down strong with it. If you don't, somebody's going to knock it out of your hands.
19 seconds to go on the 30-second shot. This one from 8 feet is good by Restov. Gorgei Restov with 6 points. 32-26. 2 minutes and some change here in the first half. This is Mourning. His pass is picked off by the Soviets. Shot partially blocked inside, and down come the All-Stars. They've got a 4-on-2. Kenny Brown dishes it off. No good. Mourning with the rebound. Guarded by 3 players. Puts it up. And we'll see if it counts. Yes, the basket counts.
He did a good job grabbing that ball. It seems like both teams are having trouble putting the ball in the basket on a breakaway on a layup because there's so much contact going on that is normally called, and just a little contact throws you off a bit. But Alonzo's showing me a tremendous amount of courage on the boards because he's getting a lot of the rebounds both offensively and defensively.
Mourning not having great success at the free throw line, misses that one. So he'll get the bucket, which made it a 34-26 score. Soviets move the ball around quickly, and a foul inside.
Well, that's a shooting foul. Would have been a shooting foul anyway, Tim. But that puts the Americans over the limit now, so that means any foul would be from the foul line.
Mourning guilty of his first personal. Well, now they've changed that, and they've charged the foul to Milton Bell, his first. So Mourning with no personals here in the first half. 2 shots coming. This one is good by Polyak. Vladimir Polyak.
That's called a shooter's bounce, Tim.
Polyak comes up short with this one. The All-Stars now with a 3-on-2. Kirby will take from outside. No good. Battle for inside. Mourning has it. Tries to jam it in. It just won't go for him. And Mourning's having a terrible time on the percentages from the floor.
He really is, because he's doing such a great job on the boards, and he can't get the ball to go down for him.
Igor Pinchuk does, and it's a 5-point All-Star lead. Inside of a minute now, 45 seconds to go. Pass inside, knocked away, and it belongs to the Soviets. Down the floor quickly. Easy bucket for Polyak. So Polyak comes in and scores. The All-Stars a little guilty that time of being caught unawares of those international rules.
Yeah, they look like they were sleeping.
Mourning finally gets an inside bucket.
Well, we got the Soviets. We'll see if they'll take the last shot or not, Tim, because the shot clock virtually is off now. Because there's less than 10 seconds to go in the first half.
Shot put up and good by Shakulin. So the first half has come to an end. There you see the score. The Boo Williams Tidewater All-Stars 36, and the Soviet Union national team, junior national team I should add, 33. And right now we are going to go to an interview that was conducted a little earlier, and it was A.G. Womble interviewing Ron Crawford.
Now Ron Crawford is the national secretary for the AAU, is he not? Out at Arkansas, and he has helped us give us a lot of information we've used tonight, so this will be a good interview.
Take it away, A.G.
We have now with us Rod Crawford, the National Secretary of the Boys Basketball AAU. And Ron, you are the one that's responsible for this tour. And tell us a little bit about how you pull this thing off.
Well, wouldn't say responsible. I'm fortunate enough to serve Boys Basketball in America in the capacity of establishing the tour. I instituted contact with the Soviet Union in early January. By telexes, we corresponded for about a month and a half, and were able to arrange a tour of 9 games throughout the United States. It's a renewal of an annual event that ended in 1983 with the interruption of the 84 Olympic Games, and we hope now will be an annual event, a renewal of relations between the Soviet boys basketball program and the United States boys basketball program.
Okay, Ron, here in Hampton, we're very delighted to have this game here. Now, how did we get it here in Hampton?
Well, you got a great person, Boo Williams. The city of Hampton has shown that they're interested in AAU basketball. Boo is now a member of our executive committee on the boys basketball program nationwide, and it's really a reward for a job well done for the city and for this area in the state of Virginia.
What kind of game can we expect tonight, Ron?
Well, I think you're going to see a close basketball game. The Soviets are suffering from a little jet lag. They're probably going to be a little bigger than is the Virginia team, but when Alonzo Mourning and the Stiff Boy and the Bell Boy are on the floor, who can tell? The contrasting styles, the Soviets are more mechanical, they're more deliberate, They'll run a break on you to switch some defenses. They do not have the creative ability of the American player.
Okay, Ryan, again, thanks for your part in this, and we hope for a good game tonight. And there's a lot of big people here. I noticed Coach of Georgetown, John Thompson, here. Does that surprise you any?
Not surprised. Vladimir Ubikov, the coach, was the Soviets' national coach. Coach Thompson's our Olympic '88 coach. He's here seeing what they do.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, we have one of the officials with us now, Nolan Fine. Nolan, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I think the first half has been fairly well played. I think the players from the AAU team have adjusted fairly well to the more physical style of international basketball. They've adjusted to the rules, and right now we got a pretty good game going.
Okay, did U.S. or the Russians show you anything that surprised you?
Oh, I don't think so. I think the only thing you really look at in an international type game is the physical aspect. International basketball is far more physical than the basic high school or college basketball game, and that's something that we're concerned about as officials, and hopefully we can let the players adjust, and we can referee and let them play and go from there.
Nolan, congratulations for being chosen to officiate the final game in the NCAA this year. How were you chosen for that honor?
Well, what the NCAA does is selects 96 referees to start the tournament, and basically as each team loses, there's a lesser number of referees needed, and they go by from the 96 to end up with 3 officials on an evaluation and observation process based on merit and ability and credibility, and you start with 96, and I was fortunate to be one of the last 3.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts about the upcoming season? Any new rule changes or anything we need to know about?
The rules committee's met, and basically they're keeping the same rules. They're keeping the three-point line exactly where it is. They're adopting or going to try the ACC speed-up rule as far as timeouts. All the rules remain basically the same. There's no major changes for 1987, 1988.
All right, Nolan, glad you're here with us tonight. Good luck to you the rest of your career, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Nolan. Appreciate it. Okay, we have with us now the assistant coach at Maryland, Oliver Purnell. Oliver, what are your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I thought it was a pretty good first half. Both teams were feeling each other out. Both teams were a little bit tight in the early going, but I thought midway through the first half, both teams played much better basketball. The American pressure defense really bothered the Soviets. They did not shoot the basketball that well, but they crashed the offensive boards and ran the floor very well. So I thought it was a pretty good first half, but I look for an even better second half.
All right, what do you think changes might be made in the second half on the American team?
Well, I think that they've got to be aware of the transition basketball in international play. The official doesn't have to touch it on a violation. They gave up some easy baskets in transition, which if they can cut that back, then they're going to have a chance to really take control of the ball game.
All right, Oliver, what about Maryland's program next year? How does it look to you?
Well, we're real optimistic. We think we had a nice recruiting year. We've got everybody back from last year. Coach Wade's had a chance to make the adjustment now. We'll have a full season and a full year to get ready for next season. So we're optimistic and looking forward to it.
All right, Oliver, you see anybody out here tonight that might help that Maryland program?
Well, I tell you, it's Boo Williams Summer League. He's got several outstanding players. Everybody knows about Alonzo.
He does a great job with that program.
He does. He's done an outstanding job with that program for this community. But everybody knows about Alonzo Mourning. You got Milton Bell. You got Brian Stiff. You got the Kirby kid, Cornell Parker. Just on and on. There's several players out here that can help us.
Well, Oliver, we're glad to have you here in Hampton. Good luck to you in Maryland, and good luck to you in the rest of your career.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
A public service of the Hampton City School System, WHCS, Channel 29.
From the Hampton Coliseum, Tim Cole with Bob Hintz as we're back here at halftime. The halftime ceremony is concluded, and we've got some statistics for you here from the first half. Stats or statistics, either one.
It's easy for you to say.
Yes, it is. The Russian team turned the ball over a total of 7 times during the first half, and they had a miserable shooting percentage from the floor. They were only 15 of 47 for a little more than 31%. Their free throwing wasn't a great deal better. They were 3 of 5, and they basically were having a tough time making their outside shots. That was the big difference in the first half, as the Boo Williams All-Star team leads by 3 points at halftime. The individual scoring for the Russian team, Resov was 3 of 5. He had a total of 6 points. Miniev had 2 of 6 for 4 points. Vetra had 2 of 9 for 4 points.
That is not very good, 2 of 9, Tim.
No, Pinchuk had 2 of 4 for 4 points. Melichenko had 0 for 5, so he didn't even hit the score column. Violenko had 3 out of 5. He had 6 points. Gadashev 1 of 3 for 2 points. And that rounded out the scoring for the Soviet team. They have one player, that's Violenko, with 3 personal fouls. Melichenko has 2 along with Vetra, and everyone else has 1 or less. For the Boo Williams All-Stars, they didn't do much better from the field. They were 15 of 41 for 36%. They were 6 of 11 at the free throw line, and 5 of those 6 came at the hands of Brian Stith, who was 5 of 6 from the free throw line.
And that's a tremendous percentage.
Alonzo Mourning only had 1 out of 3 from the free throw line, and he had the 6th free throw for the team. Speaking of Alonzo Mourning, he had a rough first half. He only completed 3 out of 9 from the floor for a total of 7 points in the first half. And when you consider that Boo Williams' team relied greatly on Mourning, they don't really do too badly. He only had 7 points, and yet they're up by 3 points at halftime. Kenny Brown, a big first half, 3 out of 3. One of those was a three-pointer, and he had 7 points for the Boo Williams All-Stars. Rico Campbell was scoreless, 0 for 1 from the floor. Terry Kirby 0 for 3 from the floor. Marcus Elam had 2 out of 5 for a total of 4 points. Ronnie Reese had 4 of 10, so he wasn't a whole lot better, but he had 8 points to lead the Boo Williams All-Stars. Now check that, Stith had 9 points to lead the All-Stars. And they had a total of only 8 turnovers, so you consider the turnovers weren't that bad. 8 for the All-Stars and 7 for the Soviet team.
The one thing that's kind of interesting in that, Tim, that you will never see in the statistics is the contact and the rough play underneath the boards. I was real impressed with the Mourning's ability to get his offensive and defensive rebounds, and I think you have the rebounds. You want to give us that? I thought that was a very important statistic.
Well, Mourning and Stith each had 10 rebounds for the All-Stars. Mourning with 4 block shots and Stith with 2. They, as I said, they were 36.8% from the floor and 58% from the free throw line, whereas the Soviets were 31.6 from the floor. They had they were led with Melichenko had 5 rebounds and Gadashev had 4 rebounds, and they had no blocks for the Russian team according to the official statistics, and they were 60% from the free throw.
Well, that's very unusual because they're a much bigger team than size-wise than what the All-Star team is. You would think they would have more block shots than what the American team did, but
we've got quite a few celebrities running around here.
Oh, I tell you, they're talking to all kinds of people. We got George Thompson here. I saw J.R. Reed here. There's a lot of people here looking at the players. Not only looking at the American team, but George Thompson's here looking at the Soviet team because he's going to coach the Olympics. And the 83 Russian team that came over here, 5 of those players ended up playing on the Olympic team. So we're seeing some people that will be playing for the Olympics for the Soviet Union. So I feel very fortunate to be in a situation that I can not only come down here and have a decent seat, but be able to talk a little bit about the game. This is a tremendous thrill for me.
This game is airing, by the way, Thursday and Friday night of this week, the 14th and 15th, and then on the 18th, Monday, and again on the 20th, Wednesday. This game will air, all get airtime 9 o'clock right here on Channel 29, your local station for local high school and AAU sports.
Absolutely. This is we're broadening our horizons here with AAU, and AG Womble had stopped by and said that this is something we need to do more of, and hopefully we will start expanding our horizons a little bit, Tim. It doesn't bother me in the least.
The All-Star, not the All-Star team, but the Soviet national team will be going from here to New York City to play the New York City team on the 14th. Then they'll go to Tallahassee on the 16th, Charlotte on the 18th, Anderson, Indiana on the 19th, Memphis on the 21st, Little Rock on the 22nd, Los Angeles on the 24th, and wrap it up at Yakima, Washington on the 26th on their 9-game tour through the U.S. So we're underway here in the second half. The Soviet team controls the tip to start the second half. Mourning is going to be charged with a foul, and at the free throw line will be Georgy Restov. So Mourning picks up personal foul number 1.
Well, he did a good job. He, being the Soviet player, did a good job of faking to get Mourning up in the air before he made the shot. And I was looking at the missed shots of both teams. Both of these rims are real tight, Tim. And if you don't hit it easy, the ball's going to bounce out, bouncing high. It's what we call a very tight rim with a lot of vibration on it. And you can see that the Soviet missed both of those free throws, and that's where the Americans had trouble shooting free throws down at that end.
This is Kenny Brown. Cornell Parker out to Mourning. Mourning off the glass, still good. Batted around and controlled by the All-Stars. That's Ron Reese who chased it down. Reese had 8 points in the first half.
He kind of grabbed his shirt down. I don't know if the official saw that. Obviously he didn't see it, but he did grab his jersey.
So the turnover gives the ball to the Soviets. They trail by 3. Good block inside as Mourning got up and met the challenge. All-Stars bring it back. This is Kenny Brown. His shot rejected inside. Ball batted around and finally controlled by the All-Stars. In for Mourning. Mourning uses the basket, puts it up, no good.
You can see the way the ball bounced around on that rim, Tim. It's so tight that it vibrates itself right out of the basket. But that was a good hustle on the American team to come up with that loose ball.
Restov charged with his 3rd personal foul. Alonzo Mourning will be at the free throw line. I'd be curious to have been a fly on the wall during the halftime to hear what Boo Williams might have said to the All-Stars, in particular Alonzo Mourning. And Mourning continues to have a tough time shooting this evening. Misses the first.
He can't get the feel on that basket for some reason, Tim. I don't exactly know why, but he just doesn't look like he's comfortable.
He goes 0 for 2. Baseline jumper, no good. And finally controlled by the Soviets. This is Milichenko. Dishes off right side. Fake, good. Vladimir Polyak. And he was fouled.
This is a chance for the Soviet team to tie it up because this will be a 3-point opportunity.
Parker called for the personal foul. And as you said, a chance for the Soviets to tie the score. 18:40 remains here in the second half. Parker's first, it's the 2nd team foul. And this was an air ball, so both teams stone cold from the free throw line.
They really are, and this was a chance for the Soviets to come up, so maybe the All-Star team can do something. But there's a lot of contact going on underneath that basket. They're doing a lot of double teaming also.
Well, and right in front of us just then, a good hand check. You see a lot of that. In the ACC, you won't see it. And it's a little difficult to get used to.
Big Ten, and that's a 3-pointer, Tim.
Dmitry Shakalin makes it a 1-point lead, took that 2-point lead for the Soviet team. And we'll have a foul whistle down on Gadashev. That'll be his 2nd. That'll be a player control foul. 4th team foul. Now that's a situation that may get the Soviets in some trouble before this half is over.
Once they hit the 8th one, they start shooting.
This is Rico Campbell. Milton Bell chased down in the corner and last touched by the All-Stars. All-Stars doing some full court pressing now. Looked like a double dribble there, Bob. It looked like he stopped his dribble with both hands on the ball and then resumed his dribble. Nothing called. And they'll say it was last touched by Milton Bell of the All-Stars. The Soviets will retain possession. 11 seconds on the 30-second shot clock. Have not had a shot clock violation here in the ball game, and Alonzo Mourning simply takes the ball away from Gadashev. This is Milton Bell. His pass is intercepted. 2-on-1. Here comes the big man for the Soviets. He dishes it off. It's knocked away on a good defensive effort by the All-Stars.
Sure was a good defensive effort. I thought there was a sure 2 points on that one.
Miniev was the Soviet man, a big 6'10" center. And a trip. This one will be charged to Melchenko, and that will be his 4th. So Melchenko will check out.
I was just sitting and watching the young man that just went out for the Soviet Union to talk to the official, and he's throwing his hands up, which is universal, saying, who, me? But I'm sure he could say anything he wanted to, and the official wouldn't have known what he was talking about.
Milton Bell connects for 2. And we're tied at 38, 16:57 to go. High bounce pass inside, left-hander put up, no good, and Mourning with the rebound. It was touched last by the Soviets. So now the All-Stars with a chance to regain the lead. Crowd's kind of quiet.
Yeah, they really are, Tim. Get somebody to side them. I think that was a walk or a foul or something. The Soviet coach is up giving the universal sign for traveling. That did look like a travel. But that could be the team's 4th. I don't know how many team fouls you got this time, Tim, but I think the scorer was wrong. He said that's the 4th one.
I'll have to check with my crack statistician over here.
Oh, yeah. Young Randall Hintz is doing our unofficial statistics. We really appreciate Randy doing that for us tonight.
First of 2 is good. Second one off the rim. The All-Stars take a 1-point lead. Soviet team has just not hit from outside tonight. Rico Campbell inside, off the glass, too strong. And knocked out of bounds by the Soviets.
There's a lot of shots being missed inside, and again, the rims must be awful tight. There's not that many basketball games played here, so that the rims don't get, I guess you say, get broken in.
Baseline jumper, good. Reese now has 11 points, and it's a 3-point All-Star lead. Stiff guarding Vector closely.
Did a good job defensively. There's a 3-pointer.
The big man from 3 points outside and is knocked out of bounds by the All-Stars. So Miniev, not the least bit bashful, he threw up a 3-pointer, and the All-Stars bring it down, leading by 3. Rico Campbell for 3, off the rim, bounces around, tip up, no good. And the Soviets will bring it down. Steal by the All-Stars. Campbell from 15, no. So neither team, as of yet, has been able to really get on track.
The whole game, the shooting percentages is way down. I know both coaches like to shoot in the 40%, at least from the field.
Mourning with the rejection. Rico Campbell in the tall timber there. Baseline jumper. Ronnie Reese is hot.
That's the second one from that same spot that he hit, and then we got another timeout. The Soviet coach is very upset. They took the lead, and now they're again behind by 5, Tim.
So the All-Stars, led by Ronnie Reese, have come back, and they are back in track. Listen, be sure and tune in to Channel 29 for Hampton Highlights, a 60-minute feature on activities of Hampton City Schools at 4, 7, and 11 p.m. daily. Starting on May 19th, the featured guest for Hampton Highlights will be Hampton Mayor James Eason, who will speak at the May Citizen of the Month. That's the banquet to be held at the Chamberlain Hotel. During the following week, May 26, Channel 29 will air a graduation special. There are many exciting programs planned for Hampton Highlights to be aired throughout the summer, and I hope you'll be sure and keep your dial tuned to WHCS Channel 29.
You see a lot of good sports on that. I know that you and I have the privilege of doing the football games all year, and we get to watch and take Hampton all the way to the state, which we did for a couple years in a row, and we got to do some basketball games, and AG said that we're going to even expand that, so we're looking forward to giving more sports and a bigger variety to the fans in the Hampton area.
There you see on your screen John Thompson, the Georgetown coach.
And who is the next Olympic coach, as a matter of fact. That's what he's looking at these young men for.
Championships at Dunbar High School in Baltimore, Maryland. The new head coach of the Church of Maryland University. Please stand up, Bob Sugar Wade.
Bob Wade. He's the new coach at Maryland. Did just a fantastic job last year where he didn't have a whole lot to work with.
Tough situation that he came into and did a fine job.
And had a real good recruiting year, as I've been told.
Back to the game at hand, the Soviet team trailing by 5 points. This is Milichenko playing with 4 personal fouls. Locked inside, blocked again. And a whistle inside.
I tell you what, you would think that the Soviet team would be the intimidating team on the inside, but it's definitely the All-Star team is doing the intimidating and blocking of shots inside, Tim.
I'm glad you said that. I was just thinking that same thing, that in spite of their lack of height, the All-Stars have not been at least intimidated from going after the block shot.
Well, they sure haven't been.
Pinchuk connects on the first of 2. And the second one bounces out. It'll come off into hands of Mourning. Mourning, who had 10 rebounds in the first half. 43-39. This is Campbell. Over for Rico Taylor. Man open underneath, puts it up. It just goes a little too strong. And Milton Bell with 4 points will be at the free throw line shooting 2.
Charge to number 14, That's his 5th personal.
And Vetra.
And he is fouled.
Gundar's Vetra now will foul out of the ball game. So Gundar's Vetra, who you and I commented during the warm-up at lunchtime today, looks like someone from California with the blonde hair and the tan. And
he does. He kind of looks out of place on that Soviet team until he speaks. And he definitely doesn't have a California accent.
But he can be awesome.
Well, it's good to see somebody hit a free throw. I know Boo was thinking the same thing. Is why, that's the easiest shot in basketball. Nobody guarding you. 15 foot, you take your time, bounce the ball, get settled, and shoot the ball.
And Milton Bell does just that. Connects on 2, so it's 45-39.
USA leads 45-39.
Rico Taylor guarding Orikov. Polyak has it knocked away.
They're not afraid to go on the floor and knock that ball away, Tim. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but.
A block, but a foul.
And I don't know if I would agree with that. The official that was right there didn't blow his whistle. The guy from across the court blew his whistle.
The shooter is Vladimir Polyak. Will shoot up the
Milton Bell was called for his second personal. At the free throw line will be Polyak. Vladimir. They had to go and foul out the one guy's name I could pronounce.
Well, I know it's a conspiracy, Tim. That's what it is.
After Milichenko, they had to go after Vetra. Polyak at the free throw line shooting 2. Ronnie Reese checks out of the ball game for the All-Stars. He's got 13 points unofficially. 45-39. And no good again. So the Soviets, no luck at all. They can't make the layup go either. It's batted around. Who touched it last? They say the All-Stars did.
I tell you, Mourning came down with that ball, but there were about 3 people reaching for it. You got to snatch it down, I guess, because there's a lot of contact.
Again, inside, easy bucket. Gadashev. Gadashev with 6 points, and now it's a 4-point All-Star lead. Rico Taylor guarded closely. Ray Washington inside from Mourning. It's knocked away and retrieved by Rico Taylor. Taylor will pull up, has the shot rejected right in his face. Back come the Soviets. And they get the easy bucket as Sergei Orakov gets on the score column. And it's a 2-point lead for the All-Stars. That was simply a case where the defender for the Soviets just stuck his hand up there and the ball never went anywhere. Mourning from 18, no good. Tip, no good. Backed outside, and back come the Soviets with a chance to tie. Actually didn't go ahead with his 3-pointer, but Mourning gets the rebound.
Now this is racehorse basketball because they're really coming down the court.
Stolen away.
A lot of contact is not being called, Tim, and in normal high school situations, there'd been a lot of fouls called, and a lot of people would have fouled out of this ball game.
Absolutely. From 3-point range, no good. And off the glass is Milton Bell. Got Mourning down the floor. No question about that one.
And there's no way he's going to stop that one. Right.
Alonzo Mourning brings the crowd alive. Inside, Mourning with the block. Yes. Double fake and in. Gadashev.
So they got a chance to get within 1 point. And we're not quite halfway through the second half. We got 12 minutes to go.
That's Mourning's second.
2 personal fouls on Mourning.
Team's fifth.
For whatever reason, Bob, Brian Stiff has not seen a great deal of action here in the second half, and he had done a bulk of the scoring in the first half for the All-Stars.
Yeah, I don't know why. I've been wondering that myself, why he's not back in, but Boo's got his reasons.
So now it's a 1-point ball game as Gadashev was able to get the 3-point play.
And you notice they're playing a zone and they're trapping when the ball goes to the corner.
And the Soviet team, led by Milichenko, takes the lead. 48-47, the Soviet national junior team back on top. They had led early in the first half, only to see Boo Williams' team come back and lead at halftime. And now the Soviets have the lead. Shot blocked inside.
I believe what the Soviets are doing down here defensively are playing a matchup zone because you can't dribble through it, and the Americans are trying to do that.
Getting rough inside, and Mourning now will be charged. Check that, not Mourning, but 23 is Greg Ford. So the All-Stars seem to be a little out of sync right now. They were doing real well for a while there. That last time out that the Soviets called seemed to have kind of thrown off the All-Star team.
And sure had. And Mourning was out, and Boo had made a couple of substitutes at that time too. So it's hard to sometimes to get new players in to get into the flow of the game. But both teams don't seem to be real sharp. They really got sharp towards the second half of the second part of the first half, but they don't look as sharp. Either one of them look real sharp right now.
Gadashev with 1 of 2. He's got 10 points on the evening. And it's a 2-point Soviet lead. This is Kenny Brown for Mourning. Mourning fakes, drives, puts it up off the glass, no good. And the Soviets will bring it down. Ooh, contact, heavy contact made. No question about that foul. Greg Ford picks his second up very quickly.
USA foul by Greg Ford. His second.
Boo wants a timeout.
The shooter will be Oleg Milichenko. He'll shoot a pair. Timeout, USA.
So a timeout called by Boo Williams.
As anybody who watches any basketball knows that you have an ebb and flow of momentum. And it seemed like that the American team got a lot of momentum towards the second part of the first half, and they really had control of the game. And since the Soviets called a timeout and the only young man whose name you can call fouled out, they seem to have taken the initiative and have got the momentum going now. They've got the Americans jumping up and fouling them in shooting situations. And I know this is what Boo is talking to his team about. Let's settle down and let's get back in and do the things that we can do and do them well.
As we were talking about before, you know, the Boo's team that went up to Philadelphia and played against the Sunny Hill All-Stars. Morning had 16 points, 18 rebounds, and 19 block shots. Brian Stith of Lawrenceville scored 22 points and pulled down 7 rebounds. And Stith really hasn't been instrumental at all in the scoring here in the second half. I'm not sure whether he's injured or what the situation might be, but he is back in the ball game now. So apparently that's, there you see the Soviet coach talking to the Soviet player coming in the ball game. That will be checking in will be Sergei Babkov, who has not played this evening, and he'll be replacing the free throw shooter Melchenko as soon as Melchenko finishes his work at the free throw line. So now a 4-point lead as Melchenko comes out, and Sergei Babkov, number 17, comes in.
They just can't make a shot on the inside, and that was a good high percentage shot, but that zone has really got the All-Star team all confused out there.
Morning with the block. All-Stars 3-on-1, and the bounce pass, last touch by the All-Stars. So a tough ball to handle. There's a lot of dead spots on this floor, as we've mentioned.
Oh, there really is. But what happened that time is nobody got, the ball should have got to the center, and it didn't. And they didn't fill the lanes like they should do in a fast break situation.
Kenny Brown knocked to the floor, no foul called. Quickly down the court, and on the rejection, Morning simply put it in his face.
That's amazing. That should excite this team. They can get a basket here, and they can get some of their momentum back.
Restov was absolutely rejected by Morning inside. The ball loose, kicked around, sat on, finally grabbed, and will have a jump ball. Which brings our first opportunity to mention about possession on jump balls and so forth. The rules differ from the possession flopping back and forth that you have in the NC2A. They will, in fact, jump for the ball.
They do jump, that's right.
I believe this is actually the second occasion we've had of this. Got a slight mismatch here as Restov at 6'10" will be going up against Ron Reese. But Reese controls the ball to Morning. Morning lays it in.
It was nice. He didn't try to slam, do anything funny with it. He just put the ball in the basket.
It's a 2-point lead for the Soviets. Attempted steal, a easy jumper for Pinchuk, and that's a 3-pointer, so that one really hurts. Pinchuk now with 8 points on the evening.
Very active 2-3 zone, but they are really trapping in the corners.
13 seconds left on the 30-second shot clock. Ball stolen. This is Pinchuk. Pinchuk playing catch. Gets the rebound and loses the handle on the ball.
And that was a violation. He didn't hit anything. It's like you throw the ball and catch it. You can't do that. That was a violation. The official just missed that one.
And quickly, a 7-point lead for the Soviets. No chance at all to get the ball inside for Morning. And there's a travel that will be not called, and off the glass and good.
And they call a foul on that too.
J.J. Burton called for the personal foul. So Restov will be at the free throw line. He has unofficially 8 points on the evening.
When you're playing against a man-to-man, you can do some screening and moving without the ball and get open. Against the zone, you can't do that. But there is a lot of contact being out there that's not being called at all.
Warning with the rejection. Soviets still have the ball, however. Little more than 8 minutes to go and a 9-point Soviet lead. Block inside, Mourning with another block, and it's getting heavy in there. Finally off the glass, no good. Batted around, still no good, and now foul.
I know that they got to be getting frustrated. The All-Star team, they have blocking the shots, so they just can't come up with the rebound. And the Soviets must have taken 4 or 5 shots in that sequence and ended up with a foul called against one of the All-Stars. And they need to get something going back. And I look for Boo to call a timeout here before long, because they are down right now by 9 points.
Well, Randy's stat for me is quite interesting. The turnovers here in the second half, 11 for the All-Stars, but 3 for the Soviets. So that's
wow, that makes
story
a big
of the
difference.
second half. So the Soviets now with a chance to stretch that lead. 7:53 remain here in the second half. Pinchuk has 11 points unofficially. Misses the second, and it's knocked out of bounds. It belongs to the All-Stars. So the Boo Williams Tidewater All-Stars trailing by 10, having led by 3 at halftime, and had led by 7 points here in the second half, have been stone cold. They've watched a tremendous run by the Soviets, and that'll help. Marcus Elam connects for 3.
That zone is really confusing the All-Star team. They kind of don't know what they're doing, and you got to get some outside shots.
Gadashev with the inside basket.
You can't, there are too many hands to try to drive drive into that zone. That every time the Americans try to do it, they lose the ball, Tim.
Pinchuk asserting himself. Shot is short, and the Soviets come down with it. 63-52, the biggest lead of the ball game, 11-point Soviet lead. Down come the All-Stars. Take him right out of the air. A fine block by Sergei Babkov, and he'll get the easy basket.
Boo is trying to call a timeout. And I tell you, Tim, it went from about a 6 to 8 point lead to a 13-point lead rather quickly. And again, and it's the statistic that Randy gave you is the turnovers. The All-Stars are just turning that ball over with too much frequency here in the second half to generate any kind of offense at all.
10 more turnovers than the Soviets have shown. And, you know, every time you turn the ball over, you give, obviously, the team to score another bucket. You just can't do that against a team like the Soviet national junior team.
That's true. It's an interesting game. We're very fortunate to have them here. But you can really see some different styles of play than you normally see in high school and the college, and that the contact and incidental contact is going on. But you notice that there's never a ball has been taken out of bounds under the basket. If there's a violation or anything, the ball is taken off on the side court, and that's an international rule. There's some real subtle differences, but the bottom line is you got to put the ball in the basket, not turn the ball over. And right now, the Soviets are putting the ball in the basket, and the All-Stars are turning it over.
Well, the one thing that the Soviets are continually doing is they're pushing the ball up the floor. They are pressing at all times. They're not setting up. They're going right down and looking for the open man under the basket. Well, the All-Stars have 6 minutes and 24 seconds to get back in this ball game. There you see the score, 65-52, just like that. In no time, they went from a lead to a 13-point deficit.
They're in a 1-2-2 zone, and one of their wingman is number 15, who's a 6'10 guy. And it's hard to shoot a shot over the top of a 6'10 guy from the outside.
Campbell penetrates, can't get it to go, and the rebound comes off for Orakoff. Nice drive to the bucket by Polyak.
See, that's what the Americans can't do, because you can't drive across that zone into the zone like you can against a man-to-man, and they are just slapping every time they get a chance to double team the ball, Tim.
Another turnover. 67-52. The All-Stars hung tough for quite some time. And now we have an offensive foul being charged to Gadashev. That's his third. He and Mourning were tangled up. I don't know how you call that one against one or the other.
Not unless you saw it from the at the beginning, you'd know who was guilty. I couldn't tell on that one.
Last foul charged to Elshar Gadashev.
That was Gadashev's third.
Team sixth.
The All-Stars need some outside shooting. They don't get it this time, and you saw the blocking out by the Soviet team was superb that time. There wasn't a blue shirt inside anywhere. So the Soviets took a while to get unlimbered, but they seem to be doing the job now. And the foul inside.
And I believe that was not on Mourning that time. That looked like it was on number 40, Elam.
Marcus Elam called for his second personal foul.
Foul charged to number 40, Marcus Elam. His second. Team's on the limit. Shooter is Elshar Gadashev. He'll shoot two. Asked to introduce a couple of coaches from your local school, Norfolk State. They stand up, please. Charlie Christian and Zeke Avery. First, Charlie Christian
Gadashev
from Norfolk State.
gets the first of two.
And Zeke Avery from Hampton University. Will those two coaches stand up, please? Local guys, give a big hand.
Mourning on the block shot. All-Stars bring it down 4-on-2. Inside, the shot is up by Mourning. It's no good. But we've got a foul inside. Igor Pinchuk called for his second personal foul.
I don't know. He didn't pronounce that name the same way you did, Tim.
He kind of slurred it out. We and I were talking about it. I don't know if the fans recognize this man's voice who's doing the PA announcing tonight. He's not a local person, and you and I are trying to remember. I'm almost certain he's the announcer at Madison Square Garden.
It's either Madison Square Garden or one of the in ESPN, and I'm. Hey, yeah, he definitely pulled his pivot foot.
And in international rules, the back foot is always the pivot foot. Gadashev called for his fourth personal. Maybe a little too late. And he'll check out of the ball game. And the Soviets are. All right, they're over the limit, but it's a non-shooting foul. It's a player possession. 3-point attempt. Kenny Brown can't get it. Rico Campbell gets the rebound. And it's coming right for us here. I thought we were going to get our lap full.
I did too there for a minute.
Turnovers now 14-4. Check that 14-5. Mourning puts it in and he's fouled.
We're going to have to get a little more of that because time is running out, Tim. We just got 5 seconds over the 4-minute mark to go in the game, and we're still down by 13 points. But they got to spread that zone out. That zone is packed back inside, and the All-Star team keeps trying to get an inside shot, and they're double and triple teamed, and you're just not getting a good shot off. And they're kind of frustrating them a little bit, and they turn the ball over and they stand there. And of course, you were saying earlier, the Soviet team is pushing that ball down the court. They get a turnover, they're off and running.
Mourning completes the three-point play. Now Mourning quietly has amassed 15 points, but he has not been the dominant force, I think, that the All-Stars really needed him to be. Inside of 4 minutes, 68-56, a 12-point lead for the Soviets.
I believe he did walk.
Extra step.
So you can't take the ball out from the end line. He makes him take it off from the side.
And it just wouldn't fall for Ronnie Reese, who's unofficially at 13 points for the night.
That was a tremendous move, Tim, inside. I don't know how he got the ball in that close to the basket. That would have been a tremendous if he could have made it. But we got a chance here to cut it to 10 with 3:36 to go.
Gadashev has fouled out of the ball game.
Gadashev scored 11 points for the Soviets this evening. 11. And number 15, Igor Pinchuk. He replaces Masha Gadashev. Number 44, Will Dell, back into the Williams lineup, replacing Bryant.
2 free throws coming. Ronnie Reese unofficially 13 points on the evening. Can cut that lead down, and this one comes right off the heel of the rim. One out of 2 for Ronnie Reese, 14 points.
Now you see that the All-Star team they got to force something. They got to try to get some turnovers and some easy baskets. Now we get to that situation where you said, Tim, earlier when you was talking about the foul situation, they could have elected to take the ball out of bounds rather than shoot it.
And the way the free throws have been going tonight, I'd be tempted to take it out of bounds. I mean, seriously, both teams have been very cold from the free throw line, and you'd have to wonder if that wouldn't be a bad idea.
I'd have to agree with that.
Shooting the 1-and-1 is Melachenko, and he's got 3 points. All 3 of his coming from the free throw line. This one no good, and Mourning gets another rebound. This one goes long. Mourning chases it down and able to hold on to the ball. And a bad shot put up, but the follow shot good, tip no good. And a scramble for the ball. It belongs to the All-Stars. You know, we've got to remember here, we're talking about Mourning and the competition. Here's 5,000, 6,000 people in the Coliseum. Mourning's but a junior.
That's correct. And all the Soviet members are at least 19 years of age, and here we're talking about a little young man is 17, just a junior in high school. Well, we got a 10-point lead with 3 to go.
Rico Campbell gets on the score column.
They're milking that clock right good, Tim. They're going to run, get it down to about 8 to 7 seconds before they make a shot, it looks like.
They're down to 5. Mourning stands there, waits, rejects the ball. It comes off in the hands of Ron Reese. All-Stars 4-on-2, over to Mourning. Mourning will jam.
You can feel that one coming, Tim.
So Mourning now with 17 points, and it's an 8-point game. 2:12 to go. Soviet coach, as you mentioned, undoubtedly telling the team to burn off some of that time. This is Babcock. Over for Polyak, back to Babcock. He's hand checked by Campbell. Campbell comes up with it, and a foul on Babcock.
Campbell just took that ball right out of his hand. That was a tremendous steal.
Campbell will shoot 1 and 1. He's got 2 points tonight and a chance to again cut into that Soviet lead, but the time is dwindling down. Campbell will get the bonus.
Well, he's got a chance to cut it to 6, Tim, and if you really think about it, that's 2 3-point plays.
2 buckets. You've got to shut down the Soviet team, though. Campbell's second shot goes away, and he'll pick up full court pressure on Milevchenko. Again, the Soviets burning some time. 1:33, the clock moving. Down to 10 seconds on the 30-second shot clock. And a foul. An unpopular call, to say the least.
That was really unpopular.
With all the other contact that's been going on all night, you have to wonder when they draw the line here.
Yeah,
But that was obviously a foul by most standards. So the crowd here hoping to see the All-Stars crawl a little bit closer. See now a 7-point lead for the Soviets. Rico Campbell comes out of the ball game, and Kenny Brown will come back in for the All-Stars.
And they're going to take the ball out of bounds, Tim. They're going to run some time off the clock.
Well, I was hoping finally this option would come into play. When you think about it, you can burn all that time off, whereas at the free throw line, the clock is stopped. Any coach will tell you they don't like to have that free throw line situation. Not when you're ahead. You want the clock to move, and that's what it's doing. 1 minute and 10 seconds. 7-point lead for the Soviets. They're not in any great hurry. They're down to 10 seconds on the shot clock. Ball knocked away, but now they call the foul. And you have to wonder, that foul didn't look that, it was more like a slap foul when you consider all the contact that's been going on.
Yeah, there's been some tremendous contact going on, Tim. You're right.
So 34 seconds and a 7-point deficit for the All-Stars. They desperately need a 3-pointer, and Brown will take it. It's going to come up well short.
Way short. He was.
Timeout for the Soviets.
7 seconds, and they don't even have to, if they can hang on to the ball, Tim, they don't even have to shoot. It's 27 seconds to go. 30-second clock is virtually off at this point.
We want to take this opportunity to thank all the people involved with the Boo Williams All-Star team and the Hampton Coliseum for all of their assistance in our crew setting up today. And of course, we want to thank our crew
Absolutely.
who have been here since early this afternoon, setting up and doing their usual great job. A.G. Womble will be popping in and out of your screen throughout the game with interviews.
Yeah, I talked to A.G. and I asked him, I don't know how he's been able to conduct interviews with some of the noise and the hoopla that was going on, but this has been a tremendous event put on by the Boo Williams AAU All-Stars, and he had a lot of help from a lot of people, and I wish I could name them all, Tim, but I can't. But they know who they are, and we want to thank them along with, of course, the staff that helps us set up here. But we've just been had everything turned over to us to give us a chance to do a good job recording this game for us.
The game airing on the 13th, check that, 14th, 15th, 18th, and 20th. 9 o'clock is the airtime. Again, the waving of the free throws. They'll take the ball at center court. That rule that is so detrimental to a team trying to get back in it, and you wonder if that isn't a good rule. I'd like to see it more in college ball for these teams that sit on a lead and just work down the free throws.
Yeah.
Again, a good chance you'll see several of these Soviet players on the '92 Olympic team.
Tim, this is just about only 2 seconds to go in the game, and I've enjoyed it. This is kind of neat for us. We get to do a basketball game in the middle, almost in summertime, but this is a tremendous opportunity for the people in the Hampton Roads area to come out and see this. And of course, if they couldn't come out and see it, they can see it Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday at 9 o'clock. And now they are shooting at this point. It makes no difference.
Melnichenko has 4 points unofficially. Make that 5.
By Melnichenko, the Soviets lead, and the Soviets win it 71-62. Once again,
So the final score, the Soviet Junior National Team 71, the Boo Williams Tidewater All-Star Team 62. Bob, a quick wrap-up, your impressions of the way the game went.
Well, the first half was definitely dominated, I thought, by the All-Star team, and that I felt like they had the emotion and the momentum going with it. Coming out the second half, the Soviets just came out and went into a zone, a 1-2-2 zone, where they trapped in the corners, and they had a 6'10" guy out here on the wings, which makes it a little tough to do any outside shooting. And the American team just kept trying to get inside, and there was turnover after turnover after turnover. As statistician Randy Hintz let us know, I don't know how many turnovers there were, but just we outnumbered the turnovers. The All-Stars from the Soviet Union had very little compared to what we had. But it was a good game, and I think that they're going to do a fine job throughout the United States. But I know the Florida team coach was up here wanting to get a copy of this film so that he can kind of copy and see what he's going to be up, because that's where they play next.
Well, I'm sure they would like very much to have a chance to scout the Soviet team. The team coming in here, no one really had any knowledge of what their team was going to look like. They've been together supposedly for the last 30 days or so, the Soviet team has. And as I said before, they'll be going on a 9-game tour. And I think right now we're going to switch to the center court and A.G. Womble with an interview.
All right, we have with us the head coach, Vladimir Obrikov. First of all, congratulations, great game, and what are your thoughts on this big win?
Во-первых, я хочу поздравить Обухова с этой игрой.
What did the Americans do that surprised him, or anything that he didn't?
Было ли что-нибудь удивительное в игре американцев сегодня для вас?
Американская команда играла хорошо. Я уже много раз встречался с американскими командами.
I have met many times with American teams. This team is good too.
Мне очень понравилась борьба за скок на чужом щите в исполнении американской команды.
I like very much the great struggle with rebounds.
You had a great team. They put on a great display of basketball tonight. Everyone enjoyed it, and we're delighted to have you here in the city of Hampton, Virginia, United States.
Вообще вам интересно, значит, как в Соединенных Штатах Америки юниоры?
Да, это всегда было интересно, всегда было увлекательно. Мальчики борются до конца за победу. И я думаю, такие игры интересны не только нам, работникам спорта, но и зрителям.
It's always very interesting to play with the American juniors team. The boys, our boys and your boys, always struggle till finish. It's very exciting, not only for sportsmen and for spectators too.
All right. Good luck to you and your team and the rest of the tour here in the United States. We hope you have a good time.
Желаю отличного турнира в Соединенных Штатах Америки.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, again, we thank AG for that interview with the Soviet coach. I was unfortunately not able to hear what his response was, but I understand, of course, it's going to be a tough situation. These young players from the Soviet Union coming in here have got a tough schedule ahead of them. I was looking at this. They leave here tomorrow morning and play in New York City tomorrow night. Then they play in Tallahassee, Charlotte, Anderson, Indiana, Memphis, Tennessee, Little Rock, Los Angeles, and then Yakima, Washington before they wrap it up.
And you see that they look like they're playing teams right, you know, games one right after another, and you got travel time and everything. So towards the end of that schedule, they're going to be tired young men, but they look like they're in fine shape running up and down the court tonight, Tim. Do you have any final statistics that Randy had for us?
Well, basically the final stats that I have showed that the Soviet team was led by Gadashev with 11 points and Pinchuk with 11 points as well. The U.S. team by Mourning, Alonzo Mourning, as everyone expected they might, but he had 17 points, most of those coming during a time when the game was pretty much out of hand.
Right, okay.
So the final score from the Hampton Coliseum, the Soviet national junior team 71, the All-Stars of Boo Williams Tidewater team 62. For Bob Hintz, Randy Hintz, this is Tim Cole and the entire crew. Thank you for watching, and good evening, everybody.